the largest percentage of change or growing demographic within Airbnb hosts is more on the senior level. And even more interesting than that a good half, more than half, 60% of those at the senior level are females. And so there's a good demographic match there. Not only, not because 60 and above represents anything to do with not being do-it-yourselfers or not being able to fix things, but generally that population or that demographic doesn't even want to bother with that stuff.
Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Micah and Steve.
And welcome back to another exciting episode of Live, Let, Thrive. I did the intro solo this time. Micah couldn't join us, and this is episode 60, by the way, and who could join us is a man by the name of Dave Theus. I think I might have screwed his name up already. He's with a company called Homee, H-O-M-E-E, and they do some really cool stuff, and I'll let him explain it, and here's Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Good, Stephen. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for hopping on with me, and so I'll just jump into it. What is Homee?
Sure. Homee is, you can think of us as the Uber for property maintenance. It's an on-demand property maintenance company. So we do today 4 services that we offer, and it's HVAC, so heating and air conditioning, electrical, plumbing, and then handyman. And it's all accessible through an app. You tap on the service that you need at the address that you need, and we'll usually have a tech to your home within 28 minutes or less.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, the reason I'll tell the fans real quick. The reason we have Dave on and we're talking about Homee is it's funny. A previous episode, a fan chimed in because they listened to our episode. And they were like, hey, y'all mentioned something about if you had like a 24-hour handyman service that would, someone should make something like that, especially for the Airbnbers, because, a lot of times, people Airbnb their houses and that they don't even live anywhere near it kind of thing. And they don't have like a circle of people that can go jump in and help when they need, AC goes out, lights go out, something, anything small to big. And, so me and Micah were talking about that, and then the fan chimed in and said, hey, there is something that does that. It's called Homee. And I was like, what the heck is Homee? And she's like, yeah, it's this cool service. And she explained it to me a little bit. And so I was like, I told Micah, and he said, let's get the guys on. Let's see what they're all about. So here's Dave, and here's Homee. And yeah, man, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, we do a lot of work for property managers, as you would expect, and Airbnb has always been, the host for Airbnb has always been a good target as a customer of ours, or for us, because property managers use us day in and day out. So we can service properties that homeowners aren't actually in, so vacation homes, second homes, rental properties. We serve a regular consumer, so there's something like, if you read the ridiculous facts, there's over 121 million total households in the U.S., and each of those households could be potentially a Homee customer because we all have things go wrong in our house.
Oh, big time. Yeah, not just for single short-term rentals anymore, huh? Exactly.
So we, Airbnb, being that a lot of the hosts for Airbnbs don't actually live in the area that they have their Airbnbs, or they don't have a network full of service professionals. That's where we come in, because we have a pretty large network of service professionals in all of those different trades, and they're all on our online and ready to go to take requests. So they can be emergency service requests for, everything from a clogged toilet that might happen inside of a home to a home improvement project. So we do everything in between.
Oh, that's awesome. And one of the reasons that brought me and Micah up to that topic when we had a few shows ago was, and I've already told the story a couple times on the podcast. I don't I don't want to go do the whole story again. But anyways, my little 1-year-old daughter was in the hospital. I was there with her it was over a weekend. And of course I had Airbnb guests, and Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong. I've never had any problems with the house until the worst possible time where I'm there with my daughter and my wife, and we're just beat down. I have no sleep for 2 days kind of thing. And of course the AC is not working well. So 11 p.m. at night, I have to go over there and see what's going on with it, because of course I don't know any on-call air conditioning people or whatever. Or even if I did know some people, they're probably asleep already. So I had to go over there, find out what it was. Luckily, it was something minor. It was the filter was a little bit caked, and I changed out the filters. And anyways, so I got it handled. But the thing is, I was like, that's what brought us to the topic. I was like, how come nothing exists where we can just hit, like you said, an Uber app where we can get someone out there real quick and they can fix it. I would have paid good money. I would have paid good money for it. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. Would that have been a premium if someone has to go out there like at midnight to go fix something?
Now, typically we don't charge extra for after hours. We're starting to look into that and investigate that. The big difference of our service, obviously the on-demand nature of it for both emergencies and for convenience, it makes us kind of a game changer. But the other piece that's different about us is we run everything by a clock. So the provider is on a clock, and the consumer has a clock on their side of the app. And so if it takes the service professional 20 minutes in your case to change out those filters, you're paying for 20 minutes of his time. So there's no minimum charge. There's no, you have to $150 to come out at midnight because I was in bed. It's none of that. We charge a flat dispatch fee for the person to come to your home, and then it's all done on a timer. So again, we've had customers in the commercial space, say for a restaurant, that have called us out in the middle of rush hour, traffic for dinner, and they had a clogged toilet, and our guy was in and out in 17 minutes, and the restaurant paid 17 minutes of that person's time to get the toilet moving again.
Wow, that's awesome. It's great for us consumers anyways right now. I would think that I automatically comes to mind is when you mention Uber, there's a lot of disgruntled drivers that say that, I took someone across town and I only got $5 or something like that after my cut, or after my, $3 or something small. So someone that has to do something like that, I know it's a simple job, but there's just the fact they have to use their gas, go across town and do something like that. And you're paying them by the minute. It sounds like a great deal for us consumers, but is it worth it for the workers?
Yeah, it certainly is. So we there's a huge gap between what big professional, say, HVAC companies and plumbing companies actually charge the consumer versus what they're paying their providers. And so we sit in the middle there. So for the general provider, we don't charge anything to that provider to be on our network. So we run the background checks. That's all on our nickel. A provider registers, and they can go online, and immediately after they have completed their background check, they can take jobs. And so there's no referral fees. There's no fee to be on the network. There's zero out of pocket for that provider. And the way that we do our pay is that generally it's based off of where that service job is occurring. So I have rates from 5,000 counties across the United States for all the different services, and we pay a pretty handsome hourly rate to the provider that they will generally make more with our service than if they were working at another larger firm. And yet there's that margin in there that we can charge less for the consumer as well. So we kind of fit in that little area there that makes it truly a good opportunity for providers that either want to build their business, they want to, they all moonlight essentially after hours or on weekends, and we're providing that function for the general professional. For those that are within large companies, like large HVAC companies or plumbing companies, we fill their downtime. So not there's always cancellations with consumers. There's always downtime where the provider for that larger firm generally is still on the clock. So they're still getting paid and they're not actually bringing in any revenue. So we help with that capacity for the larger companies too. So instead of making $0, they're making a pretty good rate with us, but the consumers are still coming out ahead.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And one thing you said there that automatically caught my attention was you're actually one-upping Uber in a way because they're totally against background checks.
Yeah, that's correct. We everything, a provider goes through a pretty rigorous background check with us because obviously we're sending them into the home. They're representing our brand, the Homee brand. So we have some pretty rigorous background checks that we put the providers through, and they are not able to go online and accept jobs until the background check is cleared, and then we continuously monitor that. So safety is key for us, especially for sending people into other people's residence, and we have to be absolutely committed to the safety.
This is a really great idea, and I'm glad someone's doing it. It sucks that we didn't start it, but I'm glad someone's out there doing it. And before I go any further, this is not an infomercial or nothing. We thought about this, and y'all have heard from the previous shows what we've been thinking about this, and we found someone that's doing it. So we just want to dig in and find out who they are and find out how they could help our listeners too, if need be.
I appreciate that. There's a lot of I've done. Obviously, I know a lot about Airbnb and there's some interesting things that have aligned here on some demographics. I've recently read that the largest percentage of change or growing demographic within Airbnb hosts is more on the senior level. And even more interesting than that a good half, more than half, 60% of those at the senior level are females. And so there's a good demographic match there. Not only, not because 60 and above represents anything to do with not being do-it-yourselfers or not being able to fix things, but generally that population or that demographic doesn't even want to bother with that stuff. And so that's a pretty amazing match between us and Airbnb and that demographic that we serve very, very well.
That's awesome. Like, about what percentage of your business comes from Airbnb?
We don't track that. So today we're not tracking that, but as part of this podcast opportunity, we're going to offer up an Airbnb promo code, and if people that are Airbnb hosts want to give us a shot, we'll offer up a promo code, and that way we can track Airbnb hosts.
Oh, awesome! Would that code be Live Let Thrive, by the way?
Yeah, sure will be. Now that we'll offer a good $25 off of first use. Using that promo code, and we can put that on your site as well, and that way we can track Airbnb hosts. We can track that what we're doing with Airbnb. We're working on some larger partnerships, so that should be coming soon as well.
Is there a base cost? Like if something happens and someone has to go out there, is there a fee?
No, we charge typically because of our time. So the way that we do, just like Uber, right? It's location based. So we try to send to the nearest providers to your location because we want them to your house in under 30 minutes. That's our big thing. And when we look at our national averages, like I mentioned in the beginning, 28 minutes or less, we have a pro to your house starting to work. So what we do is the dispatch fee to get the pro from their current location to your house. We typically pay about a half an hour of that person's rate, and so that is the only minimum. We call that a dispatch fee, and then everything else is on the clock. But if it takes the pro, if it reaches a pro that say takes 40 minutes to get there, 45 minutes, it's a flat rate dispatch fee based on that person's time. But our typical response metrics are pretty amazing. The time that a consumer places a request through your cell phone. So like I said, it's a pretty easy process. You go in, you either select your current location, or if it's a property that you use as a Airbnb host, or you rent out, we allow you to put in managed properties, so other locations. You tap the location you want, you tap the service you need, and then we send it out to all the pros that are online in that area. it typically takes under 30 seconds for somebody to accept your job. So, that's pretty mind-blowing because sometimes it takes more than 30 seconds to get somebody to answer a phone call. But with our service, it's 30 seconds or less, somebody is accepting the job, and then in under 30 minutes, they're at your door, knocking on the door, getting ready to start work.
That is sweet. How many pros are on the app?
We have about five. Currently we're in 19 states. We're getting a nice national footprint here in 2018. We have about 5,000 or so pros that are online in those 19 states across all the different services. And as you would imagine, we're signing pros up daily. We've got teams that launch markets and sign pros up. We have the viral nature of our business is pros generally recommend other pros in other trades. So if we're talking to a plumber, they won't necessarily recommend another plumber, but they'll recommend the best electricians in the area, the best HVAC, and next thing you know, we've got a nice little network of pros in that region, and then we launch the market. So we've got a lot of pros. We've got a lot of pros that have been, obviously background checked, ready to take service, and are actively working on our network.
And I guess one huge advantage that I see for like a pro signing up for something like this, I mean, they paid by the minute, paid by the hour thing. Okay, and some of them probably be suspicious about it or whatever. But I mean, imagine that impact they have on the owner of the house. They get there and in under 30 minutes they fix the problem. It don't cost that much, and they're like, wow, this guy was prompt, professional, and when I have a big project, I'm going to call this guy.
That's right. And the other positive effect that this has is because it's on a timer. The great part about that is we all have the to-do list, right? The Honey to-do list, and you might have the pro coming out to fix something, and you had ordered a Homey service for that. Well, while he's there, you can easily extend and say, well, I'd like you to do this service, or I'd like you to do that, or usually once we have somebody that is a satisfied Homey customer, we never lose them. They're constantly top of mind that they have other projects around the house or other emergency services that they need. They immediately go to Homey because it's just so convenient. The price is right, and our professionals make the business it's the success it is today because we've got such great professionals on our network.
Are you on any Facebook groups, Airbnb Facebook groups?
Not yet. So we've been, obviously we've been in business since 2016. So we've been, a little more than 2 years since we've launched the business and have been in production and doing jobs. So we're just now starting to come up for air and do a little more marketing and joining these kind of digital firms. We do a little bit of advertising, but we haven't had to do a lot. But you're absolutely right. We've expanded our team to have some business development folks that are starting to reach out for additional partnerships. We just recently announced a partnership with the Home Depot. So we have a recent press release around the partnerships around Home Depot.
Awesome.
In fact, they invested in us in a Series A capital raise. So we're now starting to get out there and to broadcast ourselves a little bit more.
So y'all are big time already. We're getting there.
Getting there.
Because the reason I asked was there's a particular group that's pretty big. It's pretty big. It's like over 30,000 people in it, and
wow.
Airbnb hosts, and it's called Airbnb Professional Hosts page, and if you have a pen, Airbnb Professional Hosts page, and so check that one out when you get a chance. I
certainly will.
Yeah, but the thing is, why I brought it up, because it's about hosts, they just go on there, they talk about things, they vent, things get broke, and then they go on there and ask anybody know a plumber that lives that's in this area, anybody, and they just throw it on there, if they need something. That's
right up our alley.
Exactly.
That is a perfect place for us to take a look at.
To hop on. And what I noticed a lot, us Airbnbers, we kind of bite off more than we can chew a lot of times, in the sense that we'll set up the next Airbnb, and once we start setting it up, we already put it on the page, get it ready, and we start getting hits. We start getting people kind of gonna stay. gives us a deadline. So, I mean, some people will have like 2 weeks to get this whole thing finished, and I've had people on like a husband and wife on their hands and knees putting in hardwood floors and, the night before because their contractor, bailed on them kind of thing. Wow. And I'm like, man, this would be perfect if y'all hopped on that site, and
we certainly will.
Certainly
will.
And
then we help, that's another great lead into we can actually send a team of homies. So you can order, if you're doing a nice flip for an Airbnb or you're just getting it ready to start hosting, you can bring in a handyman, a plumber, an electrician at the same time, right? So they're all working at the same time to knock the thing out in under 2 weeks, because we do apartment turns, we do home flips. And that is, the on-demand nature of it is great because we can send in a whole team of homies in different trades to knock it out at the same time.
Orale, a bunch of homies.
That's right.
That's really cool, and I thought about that too because I have buddies that do the home flipping thing, and and they've dealt with contractors and had very bad experiences with contractors where they just don't show up and they don't hear from them again, and they kept whatever money they gave them, and then like they gotta like deadlines, they gotta finish this project, but y'all exist, and for cases like that too, that's pretty cool.
That's right, and what we do is for. We're, again, similar to other on-demand platforms, but we have a credit card on file for those people that are ordering the service. And for the providers, another big positive benefit that I didn't touch on earlier is the fact that we pay them in 48 hours. And so once the service is complete, we actually, hold the service, hold the payment for a couple days just to make sure everything's gone completely well. And then we pay the providers, so they're not chasing the money. There's no 30-day terms that then they have to go try to hunt down and have a pretty decent accounts payable or accounts receivable groups. That is another huge added benefit for being on the Homey network. And on the consumer side, obviously we deal with any complaints, right? There's a satisfaction guarantee. We'll make it right. So we have a $1,000 money back guarantee on any service that you aren't satisfied with. I'll tell you today we have never tapped into that because we just make the service right. We'll send somebody back out to fix. You just want the job done and you want it done to your satisfaction. So we take care of that if there's any complaints. So we're kind of that middle person that a consumer or an Airbnb host would deal with and not the end provider that you constantly chase down.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was going to ask you what that $1,000. So that's, of course, yeah, like you said, it's cheaper probably to go send someone to fix the problem than dish out thousands here and there.
Right.
Like there's
and at the end of the day, they just want whatever was broken or whatever repair or improvement they want. They want that done right. And so we're going to make it right because we obviously want to earn their business the next time they have a home service or property maintenance issue that they want us to deal with.
Indeed. So, as you're kind of like Uber, kind of like the Airbnb of fixing things a little bit. Is there a rating system? Can we rate them? Can they rate us?
Is. Yeah, there's the beauty is, so there's a two-way rating system. So the provider, as they leave and are finishing up the job, they get to rate the consumer because we want to know, before another provider goes into that consumer, whether they're a difficult to satisfy consumer. So there's a rating on their side. The rating on the provider side is even more important. So the way that the ratings work on the provider side is that provider, their hourly rate, their wage is factored by their rating. So if they're a 5-star person, so it's 1 out of 5 stars, right? So if they're a 5-star person, they are able to earn 100% of the rate that they're qualified for. If they start receiving 4s and good heavens, a 3 or so, it knocks their rating down, and then that rating is used to factor. So if they're a 4-star person, they get 80% of the rates. So I'll tell you, since we implemented that, our providers are polishing the floors on their way out the door. They're wearing booties in the house. They're polite as can be because they are wanting that to maintain that 5-star rating.
That's cool, and that's I'm glad that it's like that because I mean, you pretty much go by, okay, here's how most people get a contractor that I know. They ask a friend if they know somebody,
Right.
and they send
Right.
that person. They don't know anything about them. They might have done a good job at their place or halfway decent, whatever. But who's to know that they're going to do a decent job at their spot? There's no rating system. We can't look them up
Exactly
and
right.
see any stars on them. But that's what's really, and it's coming to that, like in a lot of businesses, all the Yelps and stuff of the world.
Certainly is. Yeah.
And so, and rightfully so, man. I mean, if you're going to do a good job, get praised for it. If not, then, you should get knocked for it a little bit.
Yeah, and you trust the community because the community is the ones that are using these pros. They don't know, until you use and know Homie and our employees and our company DNA. You need to trust that the community is giving the ratings to the people the right way. We don't get in the middle of any of that, so it all happens in the app. You can't order another Homie until you've rated the one before you. So it's all a part of the process in finalizing a job and getting paid or paying for the service. You have to rate each other back and forth, and that is completely up to the community.
Cool. And who came up with this? Was it you or you and a
Yeah,
butt?
so I'm a what I like to call a do-it-yourself hack. So I'm an engineer by trade and think I know how to do maintenance items. And I actually ended up the story goes that I was rehabbing or redoing a master bathroom of ours at our house. It was about the last bedroom, or the last room that we needed to touch in the house that we had bought years ago. And my wife and two young kids were out of town. They were going to visit her brother-in-law, and so I decided to stay back so I could remodel our master bathroom, the last sole room to be touched. And I ended up wanting to do some surface stuff, just to improve the bathroom itself, and ended up trying to change out a valve on the shower, and ended up being a little too aggressive and cracked the copper pipe. And this was a Friday night, so my family was gone. It was a Friday. I was trying to get the entire remodel done before they came back on a Sunday night. And at that point, I couldn't even turn the water back on in the house. So I was a software guy. I was in software for years here. And so I knew a plumber friend. We all have a friend that does something. And this was a plumber friend. And I called him because I just needed some expertise. I knew I was above, my pay grade here and my skill set. I knew when to call somebody, and he said, listen, I'm your friend and all, but I can't get out there till Tuesday. And our company charges, $250. Your friend discount knocks it down to $150. And that was just to get somebody out there for an extra set of hands for 10 minutes to help me exchange, cut out the piece of piping that was cracked and to put in a different piece of piping there. And I couldn't even get a friend to come out. And at that point, it was, there's got to be a better way. And certainly that was after the advent of the on-demand. We were in 2015 at that time, and Airbnb was well underway. Uber and Lyft were well underway. And so that on-demand mindset was there, and yet this trade, the property maintenance, the home improvement trade, was an industry that had not been disrupted yet, and it just matched perfect. So that was my side of the story. I have a co-founder named Doug, and he's the opposite, right? He's not a do-it-yourself guy. He's somebody that would just pay anything to get somebody to come fix something. And he's out of our Tampa, Florida, is where he lives. And we were on a business trip, and his wife had called, and their air conditioner was out, and he's got 3 young children. And so we're out at a business trip, and yet she couldn't get somebody to come to the house, and it was 90-degree temperatures in August. And so he would have paid any amount of money to get anybody out there immediately to get the air conditioner turned on. So between the two of us, both in software, both having different experiences along this home improvement, home fixing, home repair end, said there's got to be a better way. And we started looking into it and found out there was no other solutions that were doing things the way that we thought about them. And so that's where the idea started. And from there it kind of took off like wildfire. So we knew there was a problem out there in an industry that needed a little bit disruption and a better solution, and I think we landed on something pretty neat.
Definitely, the contractor industry needed a bunch of disruption.
Certainly did.
Are you aware of what Bigger Pockets is?
No, I'm not.
Okay, that's another one I want you to look up, Doug.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Dave. You kept saying Doug. The double D. They call you a double D, right?
That's right. That's right. Doug and Dave.
So look up Bigger Pockets. It's a huge platform. It's like, you can go out there and make a profile and stuff, and it's all about real estate. That's all. It's about people that are in real estate investors. People hop on there that are agents. People hop on there that are flippers, and buy and holds, whatever. It's a big community. It's a really cool really cool podcast too. And yeah, you see that all the time. And even on the show they mention it. They're like, how come and they got their system down? They got this is how much we're going to pay for a house, how much it costs to fix it, blah blah blah. This is how much we're going to rent it. But the wild card is always the contractors, and they complain about it so much, and the communities, people complain about it, always looking for somebody. But man, it's great that someone's finally doing something about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely. We know of a couple other platforms like what Bigger Pockets sounds like. We've had some really good discussions and are part of those platforms as well. Awesome.
Another thing. You mentioned something that earlier, and this is really cool. To me, I'm fascinated by this, the whole corporation thing, and because you mentioned that Home Depot is investing in you guys, and you said something Class A. How does it go?
It's Series A. Right?
Series A.
Yeah.
So that's when you're like, is that okay? I might not know exactly what it is, but it's like when you're raising money before you go public kind of thing. Is that what?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. As a private startup, you start with some seed capital to help you build the business. You start to build it out, and to get to the explosive growth, you typically take some capital in the Series A, or Series B is after that, and you start to use that to build the business to go national or global, and to start to have some marketing budgets and some budgets to expand what you're doing. So that's what we raised $11 million in the Series A. And that is completely to go across the United States. So to go from 19 states that we're in today to the full 50, and to be in all the top MSAs across those 50 states, so that we truly address a need that's out there in every market. When we first rolled this out, we rolled it out in Tampa and Cincinnati. Tampa's where my partner resides, and Cincinnati's where I'm from. And so those were our two kind of launch markets, and from there we spread across to Ohio, we spread across Florida, we started to get into other areas like Georgia and Atlanta and New Jersey and Pennsylvania, and then out west. And so that Series A money is truly there to do more on the marketing side, to do more on the product side. So some of that money is going into additional developments on the app, and we have a back-end platform that's being used to start to do some neat things like some voice integration, so you can order a Homee plumber from Alexa. So there's some pretty neat things that are coming through the ability to take in money like that.
Now be careful with Alexa, because you don't want to say, "Hey Alexa, send some homies to my house." They might send the wrong type of homies.
We got to get that right.
Whatchamacallit? Okay, you started mentioning some of the bigger cities, and it's funny because people are hearing about you, and because that fan that messaged me said that she said, yeah, there is something that exists. It's called Homee. It's really great. It's awesome service, and I was like, oh, cool. You use it? She's like, no, it's not in my area, and so it's like, so she's giving you praises without even being you being in her area.
That's fantastic.
So that's great.
And I track where registrations are coming in, because as we're on different, I've been on different newscasts, so we get picked up on television, we get picked up on the digital front, on podcasts and radio shows, which has been great. It's been a blessing to be on there and just be talking about our business. But people will be signing up. We have sign-ups now in every state across the United States. Even if we're not in that state yet, they're just waiting for us to start the network there, to get the providers on board, and then we open up the state for ordering. So it's fantastic that we've got people just waiting for us to get active in those states.
Cool. So let me get this straight. So you're a shitty plumber, right? That daylights as an engineer.
That's right. That's me. I'm a do-it-yourself hack and a really, really bad plumber.
And so I would just assume real quickly, because I'm just trying to figure out some things for myself, personal. This is why I got this show, so I can figure out stuff.
Sure.
And I would assume you wouldn't have too much knowledge on how to form a corporation and how to raise money and all that stuff. How do you go? Because a lot of our listeners, they have great ideas. They're doing their little own. Because we do, we talk Airbnb, VRBO. We talk disrupting the markets. Coming up with your own thing, the share economy. And so, how does one person with a good idea go from just having a good idea, doing something out of their house, whatever, to making it big?
Yeah, so I, my background is this is the second startup that I've been in. The first one I founded, I was employee number 4 of another startup that I was brought into to run their product organization. So I got to learn kind of on the job on what it takes to start a company without actually being a founder. My co-founder, he is actually he's got a financial background. He's been a CEO in multiple companies. So he's got the financial knowledge on his side of the equation. I'm your technical kind of geek that runs the product side of the organization. So together we kind of made a pretty good co-founding team. But there's a ton of resources out there. So it's actually relatively easy to start a company. You can start an LLC in a couple hours time. There's services now online that you can pay them to put together all of the LLC documents, all the legal filings, everything you need to start a company. And then if you're talented and you have a great idea, you can attract some great talent. We've got some amazing people that are on our team. We went out and hired people in industry, so people that have property management expertise that have been in that space for decades, that know how it is to run a property management company. And so we've been able to bring those people on board early on and get the company moving in the right directions. So we have been able to attract very good talent, but it's not that difficult to start the company. It's difficult to be successful. It's difficult to raise money is always a difficult proposition. But if you have a good idea and you're successful in business and you're actually bringing money in, attracting good partners on the money front is probably easier than people imagine it is. So as long as you got a good idea and you have a problem that you're solving, whether it's a product fit, tangible product fit, or something like ours, which is technology with a service market. If you've got a good solution to something, you can go out there and find good money with smart people that can help you grow that business.
And this is how I pictured the whole Home Depot thing going down. A warning, I'm kind of weird. So they're in this room like the Shark Tank show, and you got the Home Depot dudes there with their suits on, but with the orange smock or whatever.
The orange.
The orange. And they're just grilling you, and then they're offering you, okay, we'll give you $1 million, but we're going to own 90% of your company. It went down like that, right?
It's not that bad. No. So we were part of a start. We actually got awarded a startup. So there's startup accelerators in a lot of big cities. There's startup accelerators. We were part of a startup accelerator in Atlanta that was called the Engage Fund, and so that was a combination of some very large corporations in Atlanta, Home Depot being one of those. So that's how we got exposed to the right people at Home Depot by being part of the startup accelerator, and from there the partnership has just taken off. So it's not as bad as Shark Tank, that's for sure. But you're right. I mean, you go in there sweaty as can be thinking about a Shark Tank experience.
It's an entertaining show, man. I know it's not really
sure is.
like that, but yeah, it's very entertaining. So you're the Woz, and your buddy Doug, he's the Jobs, right?
That's right.
Okay. That makes sense. So real quick, I mean, because it sounds like a great company, great idea, and y'all are growing, and that's awesome. Real quick, I just go ahead and ask right here, what the entrepreneurs on our show, and the people with great ideas, stuff like that. I mean, and they want to, they want to make it a little bit bigger. They want to, okay, do you have any simple advice for our listeners or entrepreneurs out there, either to help grow their little Airbnb empire or to whatever their idea is?
Sure. The first and foremost, don't give up. That if you believe in the idea or the business that you have started or have in your mind as to start, don't give up. It can be as painful as you think from startups. There's many late nights, and you put your passion, your soul into it. Take advice from those that have done it before, because they've been through the ups and downs that you'll go through, and there'll be plenty of ups and plenty of downs as you're going through building the business. So take that advice, get involved in other startup communities. There's a ton of startup accelerators, like I mentioned, the Atlanta one. There's ones in Cincinnati. There's ones all over Florida. There's a lot in places outside of the coasts, right? So you don't have to be in Silicon Valley to start a business or to be part of a startup. You don't need to be in New York. You can be in the Midwest. You can be in the southern states. You can be in the northern states. So stick to your idea. Be ready to pivot. That pivot is a big word in startup philosophy. But if you're going down a path that the solution takes on a little bit of a different thread to it, and it's actually a better one than you had initially thought, go with that. Be ready to pivot when you need to pivot. Those are kind of some of the good learnings from being part of a couple startups now.
And real quickly, how would someone going into these, the accelerator groups and the startup groups, stuff like that, how do they go in there and protect their idea? People are always worried. Inventors are always worried someone's going to steal their idea. Yeah,
sure. So for us, because ours was pretty technology based, we got patent protection pretty early on. And so before we started to get this idea out there, we protected certain technologies that we had, certain ideas that we had. We get trademarks on all of our assets. So in some cases we've got some copyrights as well. But protect the idea. Go talk to, again, as these startup accelerators. What's great about those startup accelerators is they'll bring you the experts. So you'll get a patent attorney that can help you usher through the hard path of writing a patent application, submitting it, so you have some protections. You'll have accountants. You'll have people that can help you on the financial end of the startup. That's what those accelerators are all about. It's bringing mentorships, bringing them to help you grow your business, protect your ideas, get the right people into your company that might help you grow that business. That's what an accelerator is all about.
Sweet. Great advice right there. Real quick, I was, do you have like a good testimonial, a good example how your company really worked well in one certain situation that jumps out at you?
Yeah, I always love talking about the restaurant one, because that's one that I think we all would hold dear, and it's a commercial. It's a commercial example, but it was a restaurant in Florida that had a clogged toilet during a weekend Friday dinner traffic, and that could have been a disaster. But the concierge knew about us. The concierge actually had the app downloaded, registered, ordered a plumber out in and out, and I think it was 16, 17 minutes during Friday night dinner traffic. That to me just is all about Homee experience, and that's on the commercial side. We have just as many great stories around property managers that know nobody. They have vacation homes, or they got rental properties that just picked up that they're trying to either get something fixed or to flip so that they can fill that, go from a vacancy to full rental, and know nobody in the trades in that particular area. And so everything from the consumer that has an air conditioning going out at midnight with a bunch of screaming and sweaty kids to those property managers that are managing thousands of homes and do not have a good network of providers, have great experiences with Homee and have very good stories. And we refer to some of these with quotes on our website. We've got plenty of ratings on the app side of the equation in both the Play Store for the Android side and in the Apple App Store. People just telling their experience, how easy it was, how painless it was, how beneficial it was from both a provider growing their business from nothing to 5 additional plumbers that are now under them. Those are all satisfying, pretty amazing, satisfying stories that you're touching people in that kind of way.
That's
As
awesome.
a business owner, you couldn't ask for anything better.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm sold. I'm going to use y'all if you're around. Here's the thing, though. I've been talking on the show for a while. I've been wanting to buy a condo to rent on an Airbnb and to enjoy with my family over there in South Padre Island, Texas. And
Great.
so I'm assuming y'all aren't there yet. You said you're in big,
We are all over Texas.
Oh.
That's actually big area for us. We're doing some things on the disaster recovery side from when Hurricane Harvey made its way through there. But we've been in Texas for a long time now, and all over Texas.
And that's, I guess that kind of brings my question. And let's say I chose to play South Padre Island, Texas. Maybe y'all do have you'll have people in probably McAllen or Brownsville down there.
Right.
Okay, cool. That helps me out. But if I did choose a place or mention a place that I wanted to get, and y'all aren't there, my question is, how come? Since it's app based and everybody has a smartphone and everybody, these contractors can sign up and all this stuff, and it can all be done remotely. Excuse me. What's preventing y'all from being everywhere sooner?
Nothing other than the quality of the network, right? Our business is having good quality providers, and the one piece that we do, and we're similar to other on-demand type platforms or the sharing economy, is we typically will send what we call a launch team out to a new market, and that's where we meet with the pros that we seed that market with, right? So we'll meet with plumbers. And we'll sign the good ones up that are doing work in that area. We'll crisscross the trades to get enough providers that we are confident within 2 weeks that we now have the supply side of the equation ready to go. Then we open up the demand side, and because we like to meet with the providers first, and then we background check them. They need to pass those background checks, and those usually take days. We typically will enter a market with cooped up demand already. So we will go in with a property management company that says, hey, I just bought a portfolio of 700 homes in Milwaukee. When can you start Milwaukee? So we know that we can go sign up providers that will instantly have jobs coming in because we know the demand side is there. And that's how we start the market, is with more on the property managers bringing us into markets, helps us with balancing supply and demand, starts to get the network ready, starts to get the providers accepting on-demand jobs, and then we're ready to open it up to consumers. So that's why we are in a explosive growth mode, but I call it a controlled growth, because we want to go into those markets and sign up the right people, not let it get out of hand with either a bad provider network or not enough demand, that the providers aren't happy because they're not getting enough work. So we have a balancing act of supply and demand. That's why we don't open it everywhere yet.
Smart, do it. What do they say? Measure twice and cut once, kind of thing, right?
You got it.
So being this like you said, you could just grow as fast as you wanted to, but you're doing it right. I know you're a big picture guy, Dave, and your buddy Dougie Doug, and so I would assume it's crossed your mind to take this like Uber did internationally, and like as the movie The Network says, a millionaire is cool, but a billionaire is where it's at.
We absolutely have plans, and we have protections in place for international expansion. Our goal is obviously to probably address North America first. So we have some work to do to open it up in Canada and potentially Mexico after that. And then in international expansion, we want to make sure that the trades kind of operate in the same way in regions that we enter. So obviously, European countries would match that kind of thread, and we would go there pretty soon. But again, we're in this. Let's get it right across the United States. Once we get it right across the United States, let's get it right across North America, and at the same time, maybe we start to do a better global expansion. But that is absolutely in our business plan,
as it should be. And I'm just throwing out all kinds of questions, but have you considered incorporating cryptocurrencies into your model?
Not yet. We are investigating that as a potential new currency to integrate for both payment of and payment to. We are also investigating the use of blockchain for other parts of our platform, whether it's putting things on a property ledger, as others in real estate are starting to look at. So all those things from a technology lend themselves to very good use cases for us. Cryptocurrencies, blockchains are on our product roadmap, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think you're coming in at a time that's just like the perfect storm, because we got this. Yeah, everybody's got smartphones. Everybody's used to doing everything with their phone. Ordering freaking food to furniture to now they can order professionals to come out and fix things. And
and people are on that on-demand, I need it now kind of philosophy as well. And so that all these things have kind of come to a head where the moons have aligned, and we've got a solution that kind of addresses the market need. Right? Everybody says right time, right place, right solution, that kind of thing, and I truly believe that we are at that position.
And the other, in my eyes, the other part of that perfect storm is the cryptocurrencies and how that allows you to expand even to every country in the world, because you won't have the payment issues. Right,
you got it.
It's pretty wicked awesome. Are you a sci-fi fan, Dave?
I am.
This crossed my mind, and it's stuff that I say seems kind of like out of left field sometimes, most of the times. And but I saw this commercial the other day about this. They're teaching. This sounds crazy, but you're a sci-fi dude. You probably get it.
Yeah.
And this let's say there's a car crash in the middle of the desert, and then the authorities get there, but there's no doctor around to help this person, and they show this this robot that they could take to places, and then this doctor can control. He puts on this thing and this gloves, and he can control this robot, and then do this emergency surgery. I don't know if you've seen that commercial.
I have.
It's pretty cool. I mean,
know what you're talking about.
It's pretty cool. And it kind of seems way out there, far-fetched, and it's going to break all kinds of laws because governments are afraid of innovation sometimes. But I thought about that, man. What if you in y'all's future, which it might be just 10, 20 years from now, who knows, that y'all could sell these things that us Airbnb, us people at our home could put these gloves on, and then a professional a plumber will hop on and show us how to fix a toilet. That'd be awesome.
Certainly, and we. The other things that aren't quite science fiction, because they're actually happening, is the full Internet of Things in smart homes. So eventually, we're about there, is that you will know that a certain piece of machinery in your home, say a water heater, is ready to fail before it fails, because there's sensors inside that water heater, and those sensors can communicate with Homey and actually have a plumber coming out and repairing that before it becomes a disaster and you have a flood in your basement. So those kind of things are all on our product roadmap, and they're not science fiction. They're actually happening. And so sensor technology, the Internet of Things, where you have connected smart homes and smart appliances and smart devices are lending themselves very well for properties.
That's sweet, man. And so not quite to the plumber avatar yet, right?
Right, not yet, but I wouldn't rule that out.
That's great. What was I going to say? Okay, we talked a little bit about y'all are like the Uber of, in a way, of guys coming out fixing stuff. I guess we kind of touched on it, but okay, what makes you super similar to them, and what makes you like totally opposite of what something they do?
Yeah, so their use case is similar in the way that you have people that are on the supply side that need a service or that provide a service that people on the demand side need, right? Ours is completely different in the fact that you just need to be licensed to drive and have a vehicle, right? That is the two stipulations to be, the good driving record. So those are things that are required to be an Uber driver and to provide service or to get service from an Uber driver. Our side of the equation is a little bit different because these are the skilled trades, right? You don't just want, maybe for some things you could have a jack of all trades that just tinkers around the home. But for most things, like, I don't know about you, but I don't want somebody that has no idea what they're doing on the electrical front to be wiring things up in my home. So those are skilled trades. Those are skilled professionals that have training, come through the trade schools. A lot of instances are licensed in those trades. Those are the kind of people that you need on our marketplace, as opposed to just somebody with a car and a license and a good driving record. So that is a difference. The fact that we're a marketplace with a supply and demand that is on demand and essentially instant and is on the app side, those are similarities, but it quickly falls away from the similarity side in that we provide a service. We are essentially serving as your prime contractor with a bunch of people underneath us that we have to provide a service that requires some skill.
I'm gonna make another. I'm gonna put another $1 billion in your pocket if you don't mind.
Sure. Hey, I'll take it.
If you just if you branched out just a little bit, not too much, nothing too crazy, and added like a cleaning service to your thing. I mean, I wouldn't even need a property manager in South Padre Island. You guys would go in there, flip it, turn it. Anything's broke, you send your guy in to fix it. I'm over here chilling at my house over here in Arlington, Texas, man. That's all.
So you are a very good front man, because we have, even though we have the 4 services that we offer today, because those are the ones that we built the business off. They were the ones that required the most skill, yet on-demand nature, right? You have an urgent need. We are very quickly starting to offer additional services in multiple different geographies. So we can offer, say, landscaping or pool opening service down in Miami during the whole year, as opposed to offering snow removal up in Minnesota. Cleaning is one of those that are high on our radar, as well as landscaping, pool, pest control, roofing, fencing, those kind of things that are typically necessary to maintain a property. So you're a very good straight man, have great ideas. We have those ready to be released here in 2018, 2019.
I think I just got myself a job today, folks.
That's right.
I'm an ideas man.
Hey, we're hiring.
Yeah. Come changing my oil while you're at it, and... that'd be, I know you've talked about that too, so whatever.
Yeah, we have. There's a lot of things that could easily lend themselves to an on-demand marketplace. That's certainly true.
Oh yeah. I remember when I was and I don't know if you thought about. I mean, you've thought about everything. Whatever. You got great people working for you, and me included. And when I was young. I feel like an old dude now. When I was young, I was about 10 or 11 years old, and I remember just hanging out. Back when parents we were free range kids. We'd stay out all night.
Right.
Parents didn't even. We just come in for dinner, whatever. And I remember chilling under a street lamp, that was our fun back then. No video games. No, we chill out under a street lamp on our skateboards and spit on ants. And so. I remember doing that, or laying on my stomach on my skateboard. Anyways, I got up for some reason, and my knee hit the skateboard, popped it up, broke my tooth. This is in the middle of the night. This is like 9 or 10 at night, right? And it broke it all the way, my front tooth, all the way to where the root was exposed.
Oh, man.
And so I got home, and my dad's like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, I think I broke my tooth with the skateboard. And he's like, "What are we gonna do?" It's like 9 or 10. It was like 9 at night. And I was like, I don't know, but it hurts a lot. I could, every time I breathe, I could feel the coldness on my root, and it hurt a lot. And so, well, he got out the Yellow Pages. Kids, the Yellow Pages is a big yellow book we used to use to find, professionals, and found a dentist, I guess, after hours dentist. And of course, I guess the dentist had to go drive to the office, and I got there in the middle of the night, got a root canal in the middle of the night, and. So,
I'm certain you paid for that as well.
Yeah, my dad did anyways. And so that automatically, I thought of services like that, because people need, emergency dentists. I mean, like, of course, emergency rooms exist, but like something like a dentist, like I said, I don't know, emergency doctor, you'll be on Wall Street soon, you'll know about lawyers and stuff. So, emergency lawyer for a situation, like those TV shows, the cleanup guy. I don't know. There's like endless possibilities. So I just thought of that.
What's interesting is that used to be the norm, right? There used to be doctors that made house calls.
Yeah,
and so that there are services that have, you'd be surprised, but have on-demand doctors, and I think it's more of a consult, so they're not coming to your house. It's more of a video consult for on-demand. But I think that's another industry that absolutely needs disruption is the medical space, and whether it's for insurance reasons, whether it's for cost of care, those kind of things, those are all ripe for disruption.
Man, back to the story about my daughter. I mean, because you said a industry that needs disruption, and of course, a lot of it is the lawsuits and stuff. It makes a lot of stuff expensive. Right. But I remember we were there because her sugar dropped, and she'd been throwing up in the morning. Checked her out at a regular doctor, sent us to the big hospital, Cook's Children in Fort Worth, and they they hooked her up with an IV, and they started checking her blood every few hours. It got back to normal. They wanted to keep us for overnight, kept us again, 2 nights because they found out I had good insurance, and then anyways, I got the bill in the mail for 2 nights there, no surgeries, nothing, just checking her blood. I guess she got a couple meals out of it, and it was over $16,000. And I was like, how can people afford this? How can regular people afford this that don't have insurance, first of all, or people that are there for like a week, a month, year? You know what I'm saying? And it's like a service like yours. Come to your house. Okay, she's not feeling well. They check her out. Check the blood. They have all the stuff, and it's like it's not. You don't have to send a damn ambulance that's going to cost $5,000. Just send a regular person that knows what they're doing, and they can check them out. And it'd be great if something like that existed, and I'm sure it wouldn't cost $16,000.
Yeah, and there's other kind of trickle down benefits, right? They're not in the hospital. They can't get hospital-borne infections that turn into something worse because they're exposed to things. So there's all kinds of additional benefits that would benefit the medical community as a whole. So I'm a big fan of that. I'm in favor of that kind of thing. If you can get through the malpractice insurance, you can get through all the other things that are troubling with disrupting that industry. But you're absolutely right. Something needs to happen.
Man, it was great having you on. Really great, really great ideas, and we got a lot of ideas, but we'll stick to the contractors and pros for now until y'all take over the world totally. Homee. I like it how the name's Homee. That's really cool. So
it's memorable.
It is. So Dave, where can people find you? Where could they sign up? Where could they do all yada yada yada?
Sure. So our website is homeondemand.com. And you can find our apps in both the Android Play Store if you search for Homee, and on the Apple App Store. And you can download, register straight from the app. You can, if you're a professional, you can register through the website and get your background check. So it's all right there. You can enter either of those points.
Awesome. And where could, if you don't mind, where could people reach you directly? Because either as a contractor or as someone interested in your service, or they just like to talk to you because you're a really cool guy, Dave.
Gee, thanks. My email is dave@homeondemand.com. I can be reached there, and I can easily reach out to whoever needs to talk to me, and we can we have market managers. Again, I can't talk about the great people that we have working for us, but we have what we call market managers in every region, and they'll come meet with you if you're a provider. We have business development people, so if you are an Airbnb host that might have multiple places that you rent out, we certainly would help usher you into some of the more advanced stuff we do. We can actually, if you're a property manager, we actually have tenants that order, and property managers that can approve the work before it goes out to the on-demand marketplace. So we've got some pretty advanced workflows for the property management space, and we can. I'm sure that between myself and who we have working for us, you'll have more than enough attention to get started with the platform.
Awesome, Dave. Thank you so much, and it's great having you on, and I wish you the best of luck, my friend.
Thanks, Stephen. It was great talking to you, and I appreciate you having me on.
And I'll be keeping in contact with you about, special deals
Good.
for your best
Good.
friend Steve over
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. We will get you a promo code in no time.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And for Live Let Thrive, this is Stephen, and for Micah, this is Stephen also. And thank you very much, Dave. We'll talk to y'all soon. See you later.
Okay, take care.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.